an inflation trap, a plan that was set into motion about almost 2 years ago now, is going to hit part of its crescendo around 45 days from now. I've got 3 stories talking about the CPI, or the inflation reports that have just come out on Wall Street and how Wall Street's reacting. I'm going to show you how they're different and how the American public is about to fall for one of the greatest traps ever. But it really isn't, because it's happened 4 times since 1972. And it's funny, when I put out those videos that say, it begins in 30 days, it begins in 60. It's all truth. Whatever we're talking about, starts a new law, a new way of measuring something in the economy. Something happens a little bit in the future, and I explain how it will affect you and your finances and our economy as a whole down the road a little bit later. Yet people expect these grand things to happen, and they don't understand how collapse happens. The fact of the matter is, the stock market did not start crashing when Lehman Brothers closed. It started a downward trend about almost a year and a half before Lehman Brothers collapsed. This was one of the exacerbating factors that caused Lehman to collapse, because equity was taken from so many different people's pockets, including banks, right? Yet people put dates. They have to have like rock solid evidence, like everything is happening right now. And it doesn't work like that. Bear Stearns had closed their doors about 6 months prior to Lehman Brothers closing their doors. All of these are these little steps downward into this dark pit of an economic either recession or depression. And I want to keep putting these videos out, explaining just a little bit more and a little bit more each time about this plan where the Fed is going to drop rates, the Fed funds rate, ever so slowly, just 25 basis points, then 25 basis points, 25 basis points. And they're going to do it perfectly starting around 45 days from now, this next policy meeting, because of reports like this. And I said a year ago, you're going to see this wave or this time frame when these inflation reports come out and they go, hey, you know what? Things are looking up. Things are looking good, but they really aren't. Inflation isn't going down, it's staying steady. Well, no, we're going to turn that. We're going to spin it into good news, because what they're doing is they're slowly but surely building a narrative. Everything's okay. We're okay. We can lower rates. And it will only have a very small effect on mortgage rates. And I mean small, because the bond market is having some serious problems. There's so many problems with the bond market right now that the Treasury is printing money in the form of selling new bonds to pension funds, taking that money and buying bonds from banks that are imploding, and they need a clean balance sheet. That's how sick our economy is right now. Yet most people do not understand how this works. And speaking of mortgages, the government has a plan. It should start any day now. Honestly, I've done a handful of videos on it already. I expected it by the end of June, where the government says, you know what, let's start increasing our purchase of second mortgages. And what that's going to do is allow Americans to tap into their equity. And you're going to see this boon. And all of these time lags that happen between the inflation report and between, when money starts sloshing around, people go out and they get their second mortgage. It takes them, let's say, 30 days to close that second mortgage. Now they've got 40, 50, maybe $60,000 in their bank account. They don't care about the payments. They're paying off debt, and they're buying new things. And about 30 days after that, so 60 days from the end of June, you're going to start getting all these reports that the American consumer is strong. They're out spending money. Look at the average consumer just blew up, and they started buying crap they don't need. Credit card debt's getting paid off. Car loans are getting paid off, and everyone's going to rally right into the election. The timing is perfect. And I don't know of anyone on the internet that is trying to show you how this is happening, and it's happening in real time. As a matter of fact, if you remember, and I just say this, not to toot my own horn, but we've got to show people that, You don't need a fancy suit, a fancy car, a fancy set. I get fancy with my courses, but I mean, that's because people are paying me for a product, right? You don't have to be fancy to show people the truth and be 100% right. So for those of you that a year ago, I've shown the plan, how they're going to spin this inflation. They're going to dip rates 3 times right before the election. Type 1 if you remember me making those videos. Because new people that are coming on to the channel, they need to be able to see, I made a lot of videos. That's a lot of crap to go through, honestly. But you've got to start showing some baseline of understanding and knowledge. And I ain't very special at all. I didn't make it through high school. I just fell in love with learning how to make money and learning about economics and how it works and all these different cycles when I was in my 20s. Okay. So there's nothing special about me. Every single one of you have the ability to do what I've done. And honestly, I believe even more. All right. So let's dive into this inflation thing. I've already given a baseline of what I believe is coming. I believe the first rate cut happens between the next Fed meeting and the one after that. So that's why I picked 45 days is the time when this starts, okay? And they're going to deceive everybody. But they're already deceiving people now. The Fed has not gotten on top of rates. They want a slow death of the American consumer. And then when they go out and tap into their seconds, right before the election, all this amazing information is going to come out. That debt's getting paid off, that people are out there spending. But what they're doing is they got into more debt, front-loaded, amortized interest debt, where 99% of the 90% of the payment goes towards the bank and not towards paying off your debt, right? And it's going to look amazing. And they're going to say the Bidenomics worked, but it did not. And it's going to cause a greater crisis because home prices are, well, I guess you could say now officially falling, even though I've shown you the proof that they've been falling for a year and a half, and on a percentage basis have already fallen nationwide, the same as the entire Great Recession. But now the Redfin CEO, type 2 if you saw this, I'm going to do a video later today, came out and said, okay, it's official. Things are crashing. Homes are crashing, and you're going to continue to see homes crash in one of the peak summer times. One of the best times to sell a home. Home prices, he'll expect them to keep falling because he knows the absolute, utter truth. And I've been warning people about this and getting ready. And so, you know what? I might as well, before I start this, plug it. There's 5 days left of the pre-filming discount of the Mortgage Master. If you want to learn how to get ready and become a prime lender, even if you've never bought a home before, or you've already got 10 rentals and you want to go buy 100 of them, this course is going to be for you. We're going to set you up to where you know everything about the mortgage industry, how to set yourself up for success. You walk in with your portfolio, your life in a binder that I show you how to put together. Boom. They go, how much do you want and how quick do you want it? Because that's the only thing that's going to separate you from winning during this real estate collapse or you from just watching and sitting on the sidelines. So the link's down below. All right. This first inflation story is out of CNBC. Inflation slows in May with consumer prices up 3.3% from a year ago. Now, CNBC is mainstream. They're going to want to give you that vanilla flavoring right on top of the crap, the steamy pile of poo, okay? Because that's what inflation is. It's total crap. It's the destruction of your purchasing power. And the Federal Reserve says, well, we want to destroy your purchasing power only 2% a year so that when you go on to TV shows like Dave Ramsey and he says, look, there's never been a better time to buy a house because it always goes up. Well, he's not that bright, or maybe he is, and he doesn't want to tell you because it doesn't sell a ton of books and use my real estate agent links and all that kind of stuff. But what that means is that your dollar is always falling in value prior to, a year ago, 2 years ago. But the problem is most people don't see as it's going up, these little flutters, all of the money you could make when you sell and buy. People think about that kind of stuff with stocks. They don't think about it with real estate. And I've been a real estate investor and home flipper since the year 2000. Didn't do a ton in 2000, but that's a whole nother video. As a matter of fact, I've made some videos about that. So this is the vanilla stuff. Here's the key points that CNBC wants you to know so that you can choke on the lie, okay? But it's good enough. You've got a little bit of sugar with it. The consumer price index held flat in May, though it increased 3.3% from a year ago. Okay, so month over month, you're the same, but it did increase over the last year. So that means the Fed has failed, right? They're nowhere near their 2% target. It says both numbers were 0.1 percentage point below market expectations. Well, just so you know, that is exactly one trick that these companies do, or these not market makers, but the oh, come on now, Ninja, let's think. These ratings agencies do, and to show they come out with a little bit higher of a number, and then when it beats expectations, that's good news, and the stocks rally, right? The Wall Street's rally. Now it says excluding volatile food and energy, right? Prices, because they always say that's volatile. We don't want anyone to know the truth, but you know the truth when you go to the grocery store. Type 3, if you're going to the grocery store still getting either pissed off or depressed when you look at how expensive things are. Yeah, true story. I get upset. I mean, I've gotten better, but with Mrs. Ninja, for the last year and a half, she uses the word that's too expensive. It's so expensive. She uses that word, and I said, stop using that word. She goes, but it is. And I said, but you had somebody 10 years ago warning you about this event. 10 years ago, I told you we are going to go through a bout of hyperinflation, a small bit. We haven't even touched it yet. Please know that we haven't even gotten there yet. I know it sounds crazy, but we are going to see a small bout of hyperinflation because we're going to have a mini bond market collapse. Actually, it's the largest in like 250 years, but we are going to go through this. Okay. We're going to have some big problems. The dollar is going to fall rapidly compared to other currencies at a point in time. And I believe that time comes within the next 2 years. I believe because of a change in the presidency that there is going to be a plug pulled. And type 4, if you understand that. If you understand, please know this. If you understand that a wealthy person that controls the controls of the money system would rather watch his entire portfolio detonate by 50 to 60%. Please understand this, because he or she controls the money system. Let it detonate by 50 or 60% based on the investments they go into, right? More rock solid investments like gold, like what a lot of people, and gold does go down during these crashes in dollar terms. I really hope you understand that. But this is what a wealthy person does. I will detonate the market and destroy my own net worth in dollar terms, 50 to 60%, because it'll wipe out 90% of the wealth of the middle class and the lower middle class. The poor people, they're already poor, right? Then I am richer than all of them because out of their fear, they're liquidating everything they have. They're running for the hills because they have low financial IQ. Do you understand this? Type 4 if you get this. Then, and what's sad is that I can't convince enough Americans because time is short. When you think about a couple years from now, time's short. Everyone that's a saver and knows what it's like to pay off debt and to grind I've always worked 2 jobs. My second job went all to investing for the last 24 years. That's what I've done. I was a full-time firefighter. Next job, whatever it was, even cleaning people's homes. I used to clean people's homes just to go and take that money, invest in stocks and invest in other assets. If you know how hard it is, you understand where I can't convince enough Americans that a wealthy person would knowingly and willingly destroy his or her own value, knowing that he can take out 90% of yours and then go pick up the remnants and then start the entire clock over again through interest rate and currency manipulation. This is not a joke. This is why I started teaching about real estate cycles, because no one does. And thousands of people figured it out when, oh my gosh, this is so simple, because it is. Fundamentally, the fundamentals of economics are extremely simple. Supply and demand, very simple. Would you not agree? Yet people have been deceived by banking institutions because for centuries they have used massively long words when you do not need to use them. Very complex math equations when they don't need to use them, to tell you that you should not control your own money, let them manage it. And out of the weakness and laziness of America and the rest of the world by and large. They have handed their money over to the banking system to let them make windfall profits from your money and only give you a pittance. And that's what's happening right now. One of those great deceptions that you'll see firing off around 45 days from now, where the Federal Reserve goes, you know what? Yep, inflation's still up there, but things are looking better. We can go ahead and pull back the rates a little bit. They're going to do it just a little bit because they've got to do it close enough to the election to where people, and I mean, honestly, fools, simpletons, will see it and vote for the left, and they're going to cite Bidenomics worked. You know, the grand plan written by a guy that supposedly can't even change his own pants. This is honestly the truth. This is the crazy place that you live in. But this should get you so fired up and pumped up and excited because you're going, man, my competition's a bunch of morons. And please understand that I have compassion for them, for simpletons. I'm trying to wake them up. But just like last night, I'm sitting across the table from someone, and we're talking about where we live and stuff. And I said, yeah, I'm looking to move to this other region. I'm looking to buy a place in December. They used to be 2 million. They're at 1.2. I think I could get one for 850 right now. And I want to buy a place that has a couple different units on it because I'm going to rent one of them and, do all that. And he just laughed, just started laughing. Yeah, real estate's going to come down that much. Doesn't know anything about me, what I do for a living, just laughs, just laughing. That's his gut reaction, right? And I tried a couple more little phrases to wake him up or to get him to ask a question. He didn't say anything. And I'm like, okay, that's why you're a renter. I get it. You live in the narrative. You allow people through wordsmithing and honest, quite frankly, it's sorcery in a way. When you get up really high in the media, you'll find out they just listen to the narrative and just believe. They don't make their own path. They don't charge forward in a way that would benefit them and their family. They just are victims. And so how they get that emotion out to where they're smarter than you by thinking you're dumber than them is they laugh at you. I'm okay. People laugh at me all the time. We've been consistently right. And you know what's really cool? This group of people right here that are watching, if you understand this and you get excited too, and yeah, you're worried and there's some fear and I fear for my family. You're like, well, then you're just going to have to become wealthy enough during this and you're going to be able to help them out, right? If you're that kind of person and you get it, and you're like, you'll get that gut feeling inside. They're like, yeah, it's not right. And it's a strong enough gut feeling that you've been doing something, type 10. And then everybody that's watching that doesn't feel like that, look at the people that are responding. You have got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people in America getting ready for this right now. It's the first time in history. While they're lying to you about inflation. And again, like it says here, their inflation, excluding volatile food and energy prices. Core CPI increased 0.2% on the month and 3.4% from a year ago. So that means outside of the massive upswing in the last 2 years, 2.5 years, maybe 3, in food and energy, staples, things that we need to survive, core CPI increased again this month and 3.4% from a year ago. The Fed, remember, they stopped raising rates quite a time back. And what's happening? Their measures of inflation keep rising, but they are going to spin this in a way because they're going to separate out enough of these bad news blocks in the data of inflation, and they're going to spin it and go, it's okay, we're going to be good. We've got this. We're going to lower rates a little bit. We're going to get you to vote another way. And when they lose, because they're going to lose, and I'm going to be honest with you, who are you voting for? Type it down below. Hashtag that crap. I can care less what the algo does with it. When they lose, you're going to see a plug being pulled. We have a date. We know when this is going down. There are way too many people in this world, in this nation, that voted for the left this last time, and they went, oh my gosh, there's no way we're doing this again. And they're voting another way. And then you've got all the people that voted on the right Not that the right's right, okay, but they understand the fundamental basis of what's going on, the weaponization of our judicial system and all this kind of stuff, and they're still going to vote. As a matter of fact, I know people that didn't vote. They're going, I've got to get involved now. And don't worry, we got a plan for that. 8 weeks before the election, you're going to see people mobbing headquarters of Republican places saying, I want you to count my vote and lock it up. And they're going to do it. It's going to be amazing. The left's not going to be able to lie. They're not going to be sending illegals in and going, yeah, I want to vote on today. They're not going to be doing that. They want to go to polling places where ballot stuffing can be happening and you don't know who's working in the polling place and what they're doing. It's going to be different. I have a feeling the votes this year are going to be held primarily at Republican offices all across the country. I believe the mail-in ballots aren't going to be mailed in. They're going to be handed in so at secured places. And then at the end, Congress is going to have to account for everyone's address and everything's have to be audited. And those, millions and millions of invaders that are coming in across the country, their votes aren't going to count because I believe this to be true because I'm going to personally go down and my vote is going to be locked up and it's going to be counted in an office that has the understanding that the more people they count real, actual registered voters and have that information, there's no denying it. It's going to be exciting, but the sad thing is the plug's going to be pulled. So last question, are you ready to do something about it? Are you actively taking action right now to save up? Regardless of when the Federal Reserve or the banks come out with all this information because of the second mortgage craze that's going on and sitting back and going, hey, this is amazing times. People are paying off debt. All of a sudden the economy's booming, but it's because of second mortgages. Are you going to be getting ready for this epic downturn in real estate? Because those people, just so you know, as real estate prices will keep falling because interest rates aren't going to go down meaningfully enough for enough people to buy homes, the prices are going to keep falling. Then they're going to be immediately underwater. And when the consumer, the average homeowner gets underwater in their home, they're more likely, exactly what happened in 2007, to absolutely walk away from their home. I want you picking up the pieces. If you want to take action and you want to start learning about how to become a prime borrower and beat the mortgage game and learn everything about it and how to save thousands of dollars at closing costs, pre-filming discounts down below. That course is going to be finished on Monday. The sale goes away. It'll never, ever be that price again. I hope you guys got something from this. The Economic Ninja is out.